And but looking at today, the 28 rankings, we updated that, or we're gonna update that. What is that? Tomorrow now. It'll be coming out Monday. Is that correct? I'm trying to think now. Yeah. So last week we updated the 27s. This week we will update the 28s, but we're gonna look through our expanded list that is now to 50 names. Some of the newcomers, obviously a ton of newcomers coming in as we expanded the list to 50, but bringing it back to maybe some Illinois State game stuff we saw, tournaments. I mean, Hammett and Tyler, you guys were at the super sophomore games at Ohio State, so you saw a lot of these high-end 28s, but I'm just going to turn it over to you guys. Who are some names that you saw that you really liked and that are getting into the rankings, or even guys maybe that just missed the cut, but still other names that we liked?
Well, just to kick it off, I know Drew's talked about this, but like we keep these younger classes very small. We try to at least like this has gone from 10 to 50, right? Drew kind of talked about that natural progression of when we start to see these guys more and more and more. But like these guys are now on the clock. Like these are who we're looking at for future games next summer. So really exciting class. Like we kind of went back and forth. Like there were a few names that kind of just missed that I think we'll touch on later. But man, we could have made the case for maybe about 5 to 10 more guys to add to this list, but chose to keep it at 50. We felt more confident with this initial 50 group, but I just want to throw that note in there. Drew or Hammond, I don't know if either of you guys want to piggyback off that, but
I think it's the most important note with this class. Like we did expand it quite a bit. Like we went from a very, very small top 10, and we put 40 new names in there. We're up to, a top 50 now. There's probably 40 or 50 guys that all were, outside of the rankings right now that could have made an argument to be in there. And I'm going to shout out a couple of those guys a little later, but having to cut this at 50 was very, very hard. There are a lot of players that didn't make this initial rankings list that very easily could be top 25 guys by the time they're seniors. But yeah, we want to make it a clean cut at a number that makes sense. And with that, there's guys that get left off. And hey, they're 28s. They still have so much more time. Like all of these 28s, a lot of them that do make this rankings are guys that played varsity as freshmen or guys that really turned it on this summer and showed well. Super softs, like you mentioned, or, some of the select few that got invited to the Illinois State games. But there's so much more to go. Like these guys haven't even played their sophomore years of high school yet. But with that, there are guys that we're confident on. There's guys that we really like. Those guys find their way in the rankings. Not a ton of like movement throughout the rankings, just with the fact that there was only a top 10. So yeah, I guess Tyler, go ahead if there's anybody you just want to call out right away.
yeah, I just let everyone know that number one is staying number one. It's Carver Cone. I know Hammett just talked on him a few minutes ago, but he was a safe number one pick for us there as a top player in the state, especially just what he did this past spring as a freshman, helping lead McHenry all the way to state at the 4A level, I think is impressive by itself. But the first guy I want to touch on, and Hammett, you said he was a winner this past weekend, but Colin Lawler wasn't in our initial top 10, is now slotted at number 8 in our rankings. Being around this kid at super sophomore games, obviously he pitched a ton this past spring for Marist as a freshman, which says a lot. But just talking to like his peers, right? The guys in the dugout when he's not around, we're like, hey, like, how good is Colin Lawler? And all these guys are like, he's gross. And it's guys that don't play on the same summer team as him, don't go to Marist. Like, and I remember at that age, like, man, it would have taken so much for me to give someone else that, like, you're technically competing with love. So it says a lot about Colin, just the respect he has from his peers. But starter profile, like him I was talking about earlier, man, the way he hides the ball is very, very impressive. It comes out of a unique window. I was a left-handed hitter in high school. That's the type of dude you don't want to face because, man, it's just tough. He's a very tough look for any opposing hitter. But that's the first guy I wanted to touch on was Colin Lawler coming in at number 8 for us. I can keep going too.
Sorry.
If you got a guy, go ahead. I mentioned Champaign Central earlier, and one guy that really stood out for me, like he went to the Central Illinois Summer ID, earned an invite to the state games, and I thought he really showed out like in game at the state games. But that was Nick Braultz. Champaign Central 2028, jumping in at number 17. He's a true two-way guy. I really liked it on the mound. But he's athletic. Like with the way he runs a 6'7", 260. Pete's in the box. He's on the barrel. I by no means am gonna say like he's not a position guy right now. But then when he does jump on the mound and you see it up to 86, love the way he moves down the mound. The breaking balls for a strike. It's got action. Like it's a real secondary offering that's only going to get better. Just love the athlete, the makeup, the competitiveness in Nick Braultz at Champaign Central. And then right there with him, Ryan Pipkins, outfielder, right-handed pitcher. Like we've known about him for a while, seen him. He was a junior future gamer. He stays in the rankings right there at number 9. But Champaign Central with 2 guys in the top 20 in that 2028 class for us.
Just I'm sticking on Central Illinois quick. I did mention Ryder Arnett, but with his defense, but I also like him with the bat. Really like loose and fluid left-handed hitter that I've seen on the barrel a lot. I don't think the power is exactly there yet, but he's kind of a like bat to ball guy, gap to gap kind of guy too. But just really like him. Athlete, like I mentioned earlier, again, good defender. But then Brady Jones at Metamora, 6'5", 196-pound frame. Really good, like round of BP at the state games. I thought it was loose. He was on the barrel. Average 92 off the bat, 95 max EV. Just a big loose left-handed swing. Ton of upside still to come. Big time basketball player at Metamora as well. So Brady Jones coming into the rankings. I think he's going to be one that is just going to continue to get better and really impressive.
You don't see 2028s built like that. He
100%,
is a
yeah.
physical specimen, and the way he controls his levers for how big he is really impressive. He kind of like stayed on the barrel at the state games. There is so much to like there. The fact that you're mentioning he's a big time basketball player too, like speaks to the athleticism in that frame. That's one to look out for. I'm really excited to see what his future is.
A couple high ceiling arms that I want to get to. Austin Leipart, or actually a pair of super sophomore guys, Austin Leipart and Connor Baczynski. Leipart or Leipart, I mean, his waist goes up to his neck. Like, it's an unbelievable frame. And with him, he was the guy that I saw in 2024 in Rantoul and just came away really liking the way it worked. And that's why at this young age, you really just got to focus on the way it moves, right? And he was super easy mover, ton of upside. He was at 79 in the fall of 2024. He's up to 85 at the super sophomore games with a lot more to come there. And then Connor Baczynski, Southern Illinois kid, up to 88 at the super sophomore games. Really raw. The arm really works. Like, there's a ton more to come with both of those guys. And Leipart, coming in at number 16 and Baczynski coming in at number 18.
Yeah. Leipart's at Providence Catholic and Baczynski's down at Columbia. Columbia's used to having some pretty good arms coming through there recently. So the Dominic Vagleys of the world, and we'll see what happens with Connor Baczynski, but it certainly looked live at the Super Softs.
I'll stay on the arms. Dylan Jones out of Lamont was also on that super sophomore team. Thought he threw the ball really well at that event. He's up to 86. Another guy who I feel like is probably a starter profile moving forward. And Lamont's got another left-handed arm in this class, and I'll save him in case I think Hammett, you saw him really good this past summer, so I won't steal your thunder there. Dylan Jones out of Lamont, up to 86, was also throwing his slider for strikes at the super sophomore games. Seems like it's probably his best off-speed offering at this moment, so that's another guy I think we're all very excited about.
You might as well get in on Zdenovic now.
Are you just trying to
avoid... Is that the way you say it?
I was going to say you didn't want to say him because you didn't want to butcher the last name. You wanted to make me do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Put the pressure on us.
Yeah, I think it's Nathan Zdenovic. I think
you crushed it.
I think that's how you would do it, right? So yeah, Lamont 2028. They got a couple, really high level 2028 left-handers over there. But saw him in Rantoul, not only playing up a year, he was playing with the 2027 Chicago Elite team. They were also playing up an age level, so he was playing up 2 age levels, and I saw him throw a ho-hum perfect game against a solid team. So yeah, he's low 80s, can really pitch. He's got 3 pitches. They speak really highly of him over there, so just another name to for sure watch in the coming years here. Go ahead.
Well, just speaking of arms, I had to get in here. on Blake Harris at El Paso Gridley. 6'6" frame or 6'5" frame, sorry, 199 pounds, up to 85, worked like low 80s, and it's like very little effort. There's not a ton of effort in that delivery. El Paso just a couple years ago, 2018, they had Nathan Lavender, so just another guy that he went to Illinois, ended up getting drafted, made it up to AAA. I think he had some injury problems maybe this year or last year or something, but he was kind of on the verge, I believe, of making it to the big leagues. But just, yeah, El Paso Gridley, 2028 there, Blake Harris, one to know. He's got a lot of upside, I think, in that frame.
Name dropping Nathan Lavender, one of my all-time favorites to come through here in Illinois. Gosh, I remember him throwing at our preseason All-State in the winter. Loved it as a sophomore. I'm gonna stay on the arms here. A guy that's nowhere near where he's gonna be when it's all said and done is Matt Morris at Triad. We saw him this past winter, and it was about as polished of a 2028 arm as we saw. A silky smooth mover, and he threw some innings for Triad. I mean, they made it to state this year. They were loaded with arms. They were loaded with talent, and they're still, giving this Matt Morris 2028 some innings, which speaks to me of how much they like him, how bright of a future he has. And he should continue to get more and more innings here for Triad. This sophomore year should be a big one for him. But keep an eye out for Matt Morris. Regardless of what happens with the velo in the meantime, like he's going to compete. He can really pitch, and I think that velo is going to shoot up at some point. So he came in at number 33 in this rankings update.
You guys are sticking on arms. I'm going to stick with names that are hard to pronounce. I'm going Weston Wizakovich at Libertyville. Yeah, sorry. I mean, Todd, we were at the super sophomore game. You can get in on this guy if you want, but that dude.
I know. I was just hoping I was going to be to the punch.
Yeah. No, let's do it together. He just absolutely rakes. Kind of, he's Libertyville, so a lot of good bats, a lot of good catchers coming through Libertyville with Quinn Shambo, Ryan Wilberding, and now Weston Wizakovich. Absolutely raked at the super sophomore games. Hit a home run. Into the wind, I believe, right, Tyler, to his left field at Ohio State. So that's a big boy poke. Just love the way that kid handles himself in the box. And there's a ton of strength there. And he's just one that you look at and you just think he's gonna continue to hit moving forward.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just a ton of maturity in the box with him. Like, very mature approach. I feel like anytime we needed like a big hit in that event, Weston was up and would deliver for us. So doesn't seem like a young guy in the box at all. You could convince me he was a junior or senior this past spring on varsity, the way he handles the bat and how he is in the box against good pitching. So yeah, Weston's a guy we really like. We had him on our junior future game team. Was that last year, Hammett, for you? Or 2 years ago maybe? No, it would have been last year. Last year.
Yeah.
So a guy we really like, and he can also play some outfield as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can run a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
he's a 6'9" runner looking in the profile, and you watch the swing on video. I mean, there is so much to like. It's crazy how balanced it is, and the looseness in the hands and how it stays on plane. Like the repeatability, for me is like through the roof just watching it on video.
Mm-hmm. And he's coming in at number 26 in the rankings this time.
Well, I'll stay on bats. And another guy who was a junior future gamer for us last year, but Peter Pignatello out of Bennett, left-handed hitter. Another guy who I really like how he handles the bat in the box, in the game. Grinded out a ton of at-bats for us at the super sophomore games. Like he's not an easy out by any means. And he's got field to, manipulate the barrel as well. So profiles up the middle. Can play either second base or shortstop. So that's a guy I think Bennett's going to really enjoy deploying out there on the field this spring.
Yeah,
I love that call out.
Yeah, really good super sophomore games. And then Trinkle saw him this past weekend as well. Really liked him. Tweeted him from his personal.
Yeah, I saw that. I was actually just going to mention that. It looks like he was getting a bunch of 4.3s down the line, which, like, if Peter's running, that well in game on the field where it matters, left-handed hitter, somewhere on the infield, also has bright future on the mound. There's a ton of like there. Bennett's 2028 class. Like, that's, they got Luke Crowder. I don't know if I'm stealing anybody there, but you got Luke Crowder. You got some guys there, especially like just with two-way potential. I was going to stay on some two-way guys. I've got two highly projectable two-way guys that I personally am huge fans of, and huge fans are just their ceiling. You mentioned Jenner Smith. You saw him this weekend, Pete, down at the fall championship. That was going to be a guy for me. Like, it's long levered. You can dream on that frame for days. It's only going to get better. He's a 6.95 runner already, and it's the long strided, the way it should look. Also up to 83 on the mound with like way more to come. He's a loose mover kind of in everything he does. And then I'm going to stay on Kason Ernst. So Pete, I think he was on your mound this summer. West Suburban Summer ID? Does that sound right there, Tyler? Because he was like our favorite bat from that thing. But when he came to the event, he was listed as Geneva High School. He is now listed as Warrensburg Latham, so down there by Decatur. So I'm no idea what happened, but he's down there listed as Warrensburg right now. So that's a Central Illinois guy to keep an eye on. Jenner Smith came in at number 22. I don't know if I mentioned that. We've got Nathan Ernst here, Jason Ernst. Gosh, I'm not seeing him on my list. I didn't write down. Oh, he's coming in at 42. But man, Kason, you mentioned Kobe Jordan earlier and like the frame he had. To me, like Kobe Jordan had one of the best frames at the entire state games. Kason Ernst had one of the most impressive frames of any summer ID I was at this summer. He's 6'4", 175 as a 2028, and like the way that the bat plays, it's really impressive how he controls his levers and how repeatable it is, and it stays on plane. And then I know it's also really, really interesting on the mound, lower 80s with just all kinds of upside to his game. And like when I'm looking at young guys, like you're looking at the maturity in the frame, how close are they to their ceiling, and you know, how do they move? These two guys like check off both of those. Like they still look really young and they both move right. So Jenner Smith, Kason Ernst, two guys that would just, you know, I would love to see them just stay on that upward trajectory throughout their high school career, because if they do, they're going to be special talents.
Yeah, Ernst, I mean, he's one of those frames that you see walk up and you're just like, whoa. Like I started grilling him. I was like, what size shoe are you? He said size 15. It's like, are mom and dad tall? He said, yeah. I'm like, all right, you're just going to keep getting bigger. But another one that I wanted to mention here, I'm going to go with Isaiah Wolter over at Oswego East. He's at number 37. Just some of the louder tools in the entire state. 105 mile an hour exit velo, can throw the heck out of it, and can run a little bit too. We saw him at the ESP Scout Day last year. Like I said, the tools just really stand out in and of themselves. So I think it's totally justified having him pop in the rankings. He's got a 191 pop time, up to 80 behind the from the chute. And there's some bat speed in there as well. And then he can also run a 6'3". So some really, really loud tools there for Wolter.
Yeah, next guy I want to touch on, another arm from Super Sophomore Games, Henry Murphy out of Maine South. He's now checking in at number 28 in our rankings. Him, and I know you touched on him earlier that he threw well this past weekend. But for me with Murphy, like, I love his mound presence. I feel like there's, you know, mature field of pitch. Like at Super Sophomore Games, he was really changing speeds, I thought, very well. Mixing a bunch of stuff. You know, it's not where like, hey, I'm just pitching backwards because, you know, I don't want to throw my fastball to these guys. Like, you know, he'd go curveball, fastball, curve. You know, he's changing speeds a ton, and just seemed to, like, you know, a guy who's probably a student of the game and really watches baseball. And, you know, for me at that age, I feel like that's not very common. So Henry's a guy I'm very personally high on. I don't think he's anywhere near scratching the surface of what he's going to be.
I want to get in on a guy that's not going to be in this rankings update, but he's kind of on the outside looking in, I would say. It's Cale Backus from Normal Community. Just watching some video on him that we have from the preseason All-State event and at the beginning of March. Defensively, it's just really athletic. He moves around really well. There's a play you'll see in the video where he goes up the middle, kind of does like a little spin, throws it to first. At the plate, right-handed hitter. It looks like he stays pretty direct and short to the ball. But I just don't think we had enough looks on him in game really to get him in the rankings. We don't have enough on him other than just that one look really that we had at that event in March. So just a guy that I think throughout his prep career, as a guy that could probably get into that rankings as we continue to expand and just get more looks on him. But just an intriguing athletic kid there at Normal Community.
Hey, right there in Bloomington Normal, Gavin, you got Bloomington Central Catholic, Carter Landris. Really kind of similar to that Cal Backus and what you said. Like, we just don't have a ton of looks. But he came up this summer to the West Suburban Summer ID like Case and Ernst, and I really like the swing for Carter Landris. I was rewatching the video, doing these rankings, and he was right there for me. So that's a guy. I mean, Bloomington Normal, I feel like just is a hotbed right now. It has been for a long time, and it's not slowing down. And there's some young guys, but this Carter Landris, I would keep an eye on that right-handed bat. Really like the way it works. Also, just missed on the rankings.
I'll go to the super sophomore game one last time. I just want to throw out 3 bats real quick, and sorry, Hammett, if I'm stealing any thunder here, but first one, Tommy Gassner out of Huntley, and then Alex Gavoni out of Loyola, and Hunter Lockefear out of St. Viator. With Gassner, left-handed bat, I feel like he really came on towards the end of the weekend at super sophomore game. Seems like by the end of that event, he just had so much confidence with the bat up there. And then I want to say, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't come across my field, but I want to say at state games, he continued to swing it well there. So that's a guy who can play first base, can also pitch a little bit. That's a guy for Huntley next year to watch. Alex Gavoni out of Loyola. I feel like another guy, kind of touched on it earlier with our infielders at this event, but another guy that I can feel like can play all 3 infield spots, third base, shortstop, second base, and can really hold his own over there. He's a right-handed hitter. Another guy who's pretty competitive up in the box. Another guy who doesn't give away at bats. He played as a freshman this past spring for Loyola, so I think that's really impressive. And then Hunter Lockefear, left-handed hitting catcher, field a hit, a guy who I feel like, again, grinded out a ton of at-bats over at Ohio State during that event. Very versatile, can really hold his own out in the outfield as well. Threw out a guy for us behind the plate during the event as well, so also a really great kid. And really with all those guys at super sophomore games. I don't think we ever really touched on that event since we've been back, but that entire group we had over there at Ohio State, A-plus kids, man, like all very great kids to be around. It was a ton of fun being around them for that weekend. So just my little wrap on super sophomore games, and Hammett, feel free to jump in if you had any other guys or any other things you want to mention from that, but that's what I got there.
No, you're totally right with all being great kids, and that was a lot of fun. We won the whole thing. Let's not forget that we won the whole thing. I went undefeated.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah,
little shout out.
We won the whole thing. Number 50. Let's look at our.
We're gonna have to cut that and tag all the different states that were in that event. Yeah.
Let's look at our.
Especially Indiana.
Yeah. No, we hurt them enough. I don't want
to. At the future games.
Yeah. I love Cooper. Let's look at our 50th guy. All right, Jack McNamara. He's like 6'5". I don't know if he has any stars yet on the football field, but he's going to be like a 4, probably in that range. I don't know, Tyler, you're probably more in tune with that than me, but he's got some big Power 5 offers, Power 4 offers, tight end, but he's up to like 86 on the mound. With that frame and the ease of the operation, like, that's just something you cannot ignore. He was a JFGer for us as well. Just an unbelievable specimen. Like, talking about Brady Jones, like, they don't make kids like this. They don't make kids that are built like this. And yeah, making his debut right on number 50.
I've got a whole bunch of guys that I just wanted to touch on that aren't in the rankings. I don't know how much time we'll spend on it. I just want to list it because, like, these guys deserve mentions. Like, they're not getting in the rankings, and if it was expanded further, like, they are definitely rankings. I guess just they're definitely worthy. Bradley Jones, Muhammad Seymour, really, really like the right-handed bat. Our guys have loved the way he's played in game. It seems like he's lived on the barrel with authority. Pete, I know you probably saw him in Rantoul this summer. JD Farkas, Like, love the way he moves on the mound. Left-handed arm that's just waiting for the velo to come. It's hovering right around 80 right now. Jay Baird out of Hinsdale Central is a two-way guy with one of those long levered frames that we've talked about that can leverage the baseball, excuse me. Jack Bullington, a catcher at Marist, really, really like the way he plays the game. Looks super young still, like plenty more to come with him and his brother Matt. Pleasant Plains has two of the better 2028s down there in the Springfield area with Landon Meisenbacher and Andrew Potoff. Like, Meisenbacher can flat defend. Very easily could have gotten into the rankings just off the defense alone. The bat, he competes. He's on the barrel. Like, it's only going to get stronger. He's really kind of started to change physically from the times we saw him as like a 7th, 8th grader. So really curious to see where he's going to get to. Andrew Potoff for Pleasant Plains is a left-handed hitter that's just really polished. We like the look. A guy we saw this spring who was pitching big-time varsity innings for O'Fallon, has a case to be in the rankings, lower velo, but just really competed, was Will Vanderhayden at O'Fallon. One guy that is kind of like my pick to click, just from watching a video. I've never seen him live in person, but Sonny Matea. Absolutely love the video, love the movement patterns. Like, I think it's going to be a really dynamic arm someday. This is just, kind of me off making hopefully a bold prediction that turns out correct. We'll see. Christian Dry at Nazareth, strong arm, like it's already a mid-80s guy. Christian Kenzel as well. I'm blank. He's at St. Patrick. So, St. Pat's has Aiden David, the lefty. That was a 26 that kind of made a huge name for himself at the state games, and then they've had Patty Roth as well, in that rotation. So if this Christian Kenzel can kind of be a third option for them, that'd be huge coming into the spring. Jonas Sloan at St. Lawrence is an arm with some pitchability, and we really like the way it works. MJ Castelloni, I thought, showed really well this summer at the Northwest Suburban Summer ID. But left-handed hitter, really was on the barrel. Love the look of that as well. Mason Maribel, guy at Brother Rice that we've really liked, athletic. And then Ryan Carzoli it kind of seems like maybe the next really good arm to come through McHenry. So those are some call-outs. Pete, I know you were going to maybe try to get in here on some guys as I was breezing through, so sorry that I went through it so fast. But and there's more guys that you guys may have on your list to mention. Just some that I feel like are very important. Like, we are still very, very high on you guys. Like, just because you don't have a number next to your name doesn't mean that we're not looking at you. There's so many guys past that too. So I just want to put it out there. Like, you guys are young. You guys are super, super young. There is so much time. And this is actually a huge year. Like, that sophomore to junior year is when a lot of guys, like, hit their puberty and physically mature and make that huge jump. So a lot can change. But, yeah, what do you got, Pete?
No, just a couple guys that you touched on, like Jack Bullington. I really like him on the mound as well. And, I mean, it really works. It's really easy. He can spin it, too. The spin's above average. And, I mean, his dad was the first overall pick. Former first overall pick, so that's never a bad thing to have in the bloodlines. And then J.D. Farkas, yeah, you mentioned him. Seen him at the Rock multiple times now, and just have always loved the way that it moves, like the arm works, and then he can really pitch. Like, he fills up the zone. He always competes, and he's just one that I always come away really liking. But one that I actually saw this weekend is Ian Moore. So that's Ethan Moore's brother, who was at OPRF, Tennessee, got drafted but opted to go to Tennessee. Very similar, profile. He's an infielder that can switch hit. The swing actually looks very similar. Like, it's got that compact line drive approach. But he, blew me away on the infield. It's on me that I missed speaking about him earlier. It was a very brief look. So I didn't get a tweet out on him because I didn't see him do anything with the bat, but I loved the way that he moved around the infield. He made a really impressive play at second base. That kid really looks the part. He's got a bright future.
Hey, Pete, or Tyler or Gavin, you may want to get in here, but Pete, I got to stick on you because there's a guy we didn't rank that I know you liked this spring, Sawyer Valdez. Sorry to put you on the spot, but an infielder that was playing varsity, at Sycamore, and he's a guy too, like just knocking right on the door. So I don't know, but he's a guy we like as well. That's on my list that I should have mentioned that I didn't.
Yeah,
I
no,
knew
he's
you saw
another.
him
He's a
live.
two-way. He's another two-way. He's around the 80-mile-an-hour mark. It's really loose. He can pick it on the dirt, and he's got an upside swing as well. So yeah, all these guys, like we like all these guys. There's so many names here.
I want to throw out a couple real quick, mainly that performed well for me at state games. Tyler Manning out of Geneva, outfielder. Just really like the look in the box. I think there's a ton of a lot to like there, and I think a potential very high ceiling there as well. Eddie Perez out of Maine West, right-handed pitcher. This is kind of a kid I'm personally just betting on. I really liked how he moved down the mound. Ball comes out of like a lower slot as well, so that's just another arm I think to watch around here in the Chicagoland area.
Yet another arm that didn't get ranked, and I know he threw really well this summer at the Rock Summer Championship, was Ethan Semmer at Lakes. It's low 80s, 80, 83. That was a guy that was on our list as well. And I had another one here, but I'm switching over sheets. Xavier Vagley. Dominic Vagley's younger brother down there at Columbia. We mentioned Dom earlier talking about Connor Baczynski at Columbia, but Xavier Vagley, like long levered, really lean frame, and he's a loose mover with a ton of upside. Like I will bet on that family. Just after, the way Dom was coming through the system and just what a winner he was and competitor and athlete playing multiple sports. So Xavier Vagley down there, Columbia, he's a guy I'm going to be keying in on as well. You guys, any other names here? John Rose was a name that stood out to us this winter behind the plate at the preseason All-State underclass. Really liked the way it worked. That's another guy that kind of didn't get in there. And I mean, the list goes on. So Mason Almazan, really, really solid player, Providence Catholic, that's got a bright future. Just showed well again at our last chance summer ID. But those are just some that I wanted to mention. And hopefully a lot of these guys will get their shine, in the coming months or coming years. And hey, we may have missed you right now. We may not know a ton about you right now. Maybe we saw you on an off day, and really looking forward to seeing the guys that do emerge in the 28 class and continue to get better, and prove us wrong or prove us right or whatever the case may be. Madden Nunn, I was getting talked about in our rankings talk, like showed really well at area code. And then we saw him again. Another name there just on our list, Ethan Killian at New Trier. Another guy I wanted to mention, big arm Weston Ensign, small town Illinois, Gavin. Weston Ensign, he's at Fisher High School, but he's a monster over there. That's a guy we're going to have to keep an eye on. Anybody built like that in, central Illinois, small town, like, man, the future's super bright. You have no idea. That guy's probably playing 4 sports. And I know there's, Brody Pelosi, a Providence Catholic. Like, there's so many guys we could call out right now. But yeah, Gav, go ahead. That's it for me. Thanks for letting me get in there.